Okay, so today we are starting our new chapter, that is the highway maintenance. Okay, in this chapter, we are going to study the different methods that are required to perform the highway maintenance. That is different methods for the flexible pavement, then for the rigid pavement. What are the different failures of the rigid as well as the flexible pavement, and how we are going to do the maintenance for that. Okay, that we are going to study into this chapter. Okay. So we are going to see the causes of the failure of the roads, common types of the road failures in the flexible as well as in the rigid pavements. We know that in the flexible pavement, the commonly failures occurs like the potholes, cracks, okay, routine cracking of rails that we have seen most of the time on the road. Okay. So to repair these failures, what the methods that we need to achieve, but the maintenance that we need to go for, that we have to study in this chapter. Okay. Then the maintenance of the flexible pavement, different. First, we have to search or the study about the different types of the failures. Okay. Then, according to that type of the failure, we need to understand what type of the remedial measures how to be done on that failure. Okay, means what the different kind of the maintenance that is required to perform to that respective type of the failure. Okay, so for that we need to study the different types of the failure for the flexible pavement, and then for the different types of failure for the rigid pavement, and accordingly we have to think about the different remedial measures or the different maintenance techniques for that respective roads. Okay. In the flexible pavement, we have seen the common failures occur like the fat holes, okay, then the cracks, then uphills due to the heavy transportation of the road loads. Okay, that we have seen into the flexible pavements. In the rigid pavement, commonly the cracks will occurs, and also there might be the problem at the joints. Okay, so we need to go for the repairs of the cracks, repairs of the joints majorly in the rigid pavement. There are the another types of the failure also, but these are the major that occurs very frequently, and that we need to study. Then the common types of the road failure in the rigid, that is crack, mud pumping. Okay, this mud pumping is nothing but what? The whatever the slurry of the mud that will comes out from the joints due to the heavy load. Okay, so why this happens and how to prevent this and how to go for the maintenance of it. That all these things we need to study into this chapter. Okay, so we will see one by one. So the maintenance of the road is nothing but what? The art of keeping the existing road into good working condition for the proper functioning of the traffic. So before going for the maintenance, we should understand or we should know why to go for the maintenance. Okay, why to go for the maintenance? Because to make the road into the proper condition of the flowing traffic, then to keeping the road in the very good working condition. Okay, so we need to go for the maintenance. And also, if we don't go for the maintenance of the road, so ultimately what will happen? So whatever the design period of life of that road it is there, that automatically goes on decreasing. Okay, the life period of the road will goes on decreasing if we know what, if we don't go for the maintenance time to time. Okay, so to increase the life period of the road, or to maintain the life period of the road, we need to go for the regular maintenance. Okay, that may be the preliminary maintenance, that may be the after the construction of the road. Okay, so that we will see in the respective type of the failures. It involves the assessment of the road condition diagnosis of the problem, adopting the most appropriate maintenance steps. Okay, what are the steps we need to carry out while doing the maintenance? We need to first we need to diagnose the problem. Okay, before going for the remedial measures for that problem, we need to understand the diagnosis. Because suppose if there is a patch, okay, if there is a patch fault, and we simply what we do, we apply the broom, we apply the coarse aggregates and fill it by the binder material, maybe the bitumen or maybe the by the concrete. Okay, but we need to understand in this situation what will happen if we don't go with in detail with the problems. What will happen? Suppose if there is the loose material available at the bottom, okay, then what will happen? By the ultimately transportation of the traffic from that platforms, after some period of the time, what will happen? That will again it will breaks at that point. Okay, so before going for the remedial measure, first we need to understand or we need to diagnose the problem from the root. Okay, once we know the basic the root of the cause of the problem, then we will take out from that. Suppose if there is a loose material remain, then what will happen after some period of time? Then again the failure of that road will be there at that point. So we need to remove all the loose material at the point of the pack hole. Then after we need to place the another material, and then we need to go for the compaction. Okay, so likewise, first we need to diagnose the problem and remove it from the roots. Okay, then and then only what will happen, the maintenance will be proper and it will last for the more than. If we don't understand the problems or the roots of the problem, what will happen? Ultimately, the maintenance will have to do. We have to go for the maintenance very frequently. Okay, so we need to first understand the roots of the cause of problem. Okay, then road maintenance plays an important role in the life of the span of roads and the highways. Okay, ultimately, I have told already, if we have to increase the lifetime, if we have to maintain the life of the roads, highways, then we need to go for the proper maintenance time to time. Okay, then and then only we will achieve that lifetime. Moreover, it reduces the petrol consumption of the vehicle and prevents the wear and tear of the vehicle tires. Also, due to the potholes, due to the crackings, due to the undulations, too much undulations on the road, due to the wheeling action, okay, the depressions in the road, what will happen? The ultimate wear and tear of the tire will be more. Also, the petrol consumption of the vehicle is more because the speed is very irregular. Okay, we need to change the gears too much. Okay, so due to this, what will happen? The petrol consumption of the vehicle will be more. Okay, so on the plain road, the consumption of petrol is less. On the if the road are there are very much potholes are there on the road, then at that time what will happen? The fuel consumption will be ultimately more because there is a fluctuation in the speed. We cannot maintain the same speed of the vehicle. So due to that, petrol consumption of the vehicle will be more, and also the wear and tear of the tire will be also more at that time. Then there are some common causes of the failure: the poor quality of the material. Okay, so the main important thing is that whenever we are using the material for the maintenance, suppose there is a concrete road, okay, already there, and suppose a path hole or the crack it is there on that road. So whenever we are going for the maintenance of that road, we should have to maintain the more grade of concrete. Okay, we need to use more grade of a concrete to fill that pathogens. Okay, so what I am telling, whatever the grade of the concrete that you have used for the construction of the road, okay, you have to maintain at least that much grade or more than that to fill the pathogens, to fill the cracks. Okay, so this is the required. So the good quality of the materials should be used there. Also, while filling the pathholes of the flexible pavement as well, whatever the materials that we are using, that should be have the proper load carrying capacity that we have used already into the flexible pavement, or it should be more than that. Then and then only we can use that material in the maintenance work. Okay, so first and the most important thing is what? The poor quality of material should not be used. This is the first common failure. Okay, if we use the poor quality of material, ultimately what will happen? Suppose instead of the angular aggregates, coarse aggregate, we are using the rounded. So what will happen? Whatever the force of attraction between two molecules, it is there. That is cohesive bond, adhesive bond, it is there. That will not be proper. Okay, the bonding between the two material will not be proper if it is rounded stuff. Okay, so what will happen? It will breaks the bond between the aggregates very easily for the very low load. So angular aggregate should be used. Also, the good quality of the aggregate should be used. Before using the aggregate on the road, we should have to follow the certain test on that aggregate, like the crushing test. We have seen the test, impact test, average and value test. Okay. Also, we need to check the specific gravity of the aggregate. Okay, whenever we are using that. Likewise, for each and every material, suppose we are using the bitumen, we need to understand the specific gravity of the bitumen, softening point of the bitumen, flash and fire point of the bitumen. Okay, all these tests we have to carry out on the bitumen aggregate. Also, we need to check the soil also, CBR value of the soil. Okay, as we go deep and deep, we should have the more CBR value, so that for the subgrade, it is at bottommost layer. For the subgrade, we should have the maximum CBR value than the other all courses or the layers. In the all layers, subgrade layer should have the more, means what? Base soil should have the more CBR value. Okay, that also we need to calculate CBR value. Likewise, all the tests that we need to carry out on the each and every material that we are using here. Also in the concrete road as well. If we are using the concrete, we should have to go for the slum workability test, slump cone test, then any other workability test on site or in laboratory also. Then we need to understand the load carrying capacity of the concrete. Okay, so compaction test should be carried out on that. Load carrying capacity we need to understand. M30, M35 concrete that we are using, we should go the at least more than that carrying load. Okay, stress value. Then also we need to go for the bending test. Okay, 2-point bending, 2-point failure, 3-point failure. Okay, that also we need to test. Okay, so whatever the material that we are using, that which should be good quality. If we are using the poor quality of material, that will be the leads to the failure. Okay. Then we need to go for the maintenance. And as the maintenance is more, the whatever the cost, that will be also ultimately increases. Okay. If we build the road in the good quality at the initial stage only, then ultimately what will happen? Whatever the maintenance cost it is required afterwards, that will be the low. As we build the road with the quality of the material, then what will happen? The maintenance cost will also ultimately lower. Okay, so this is the main important factor that we need to understand. So second is the design of a road structure is improper. Suppose whatever the design parameters are given for that construction of the road, if we have not maintained that parameter, we have not designed as per the given specifications. This word is very important. Whatever the specifications that are desired to achieve on the road, on the construction side, that should be achieved at any cost. Okay, it may be for the material, it may be the sizes of the different grades, it may be the any parameter. Whatever the specification it is required, that should be achieved. Okay, so we have to design the road as per the given format, as per the given specification. If the design of the road is not proper, then what will happen? Ultimately, the failure of the road will be. Suppose whenever I am designing the road or I am giving the alignment, I have not carried out the survey properly. I have not taken the test of the soil. Okay, and I have directly placed the road. Suppose the soil is very black cotton soil. Okay, or waterlogged soil it is there. So what will happen? Ultimately, the load carrying capacity of that soil is less. So what will happen? The cracks will be there on the road because the failure will be there because CBR, that is load carrying capacity. Yes, BC of the soil is very less. Okay, soil bearing capacity that will be the less. So before constructing the road, before aligning the road, we have to go for the proper design of that road. We have to check the soils along that road. Also, we have to think about the uh, alignment of that road, from where we should pass that alignment so that the cost also will be minimum. Okay, that also we have to randomly check. If we go with this alignment route, what will be the cost of that road? If I choose this alignment, what will be the cost? What will be the shortest road? That we should analyze, that the road should follow the shortest road. Okay, so according to that, we have to align the road. Okay, so design should be the proper. Defects in the method of construction. Suppose I have given the proper design, but if while doing the construction, some defects are remaining in the construction, proper thickness is not maintained, proper aggregates is not used, proper proportion is not maintained by the laborers because laborers are unskilled laborers. We have given the proportion with the proper calculations. Okay, but they have not used the proper mixed design calculations. Okay, whatever the cement quantity, sand quantity, aggregate quantity, that is a mixed proportion if they have not used. Suppose whatever the water quality, WC ratio, water cement ratio, because in the construction you might have observed they will not at all, they will not maintain the water cement ratio. Okay, they simply put the pipe of the water into the concrete mixing and then where they will batch. So likewise should not be happen. They should have to maintain the proper proportions. Defects should not be allowed at the construction site. If the defects are there, ultimately what will happen? The failure will be there very soon. Okay, so defect less construction will give the more durability of that road. Okay. Improper quality control. Also, while doing using the material, we should have to maintain the quality of that road. Quality in the sense what? Quality of the material, quality of the mix, quality of the construction, all these qualities that we need to achieve on the site. Okay, whenever we are mixing the material, quality should be achieved. Whenever we are using the material, quality material should be used. Mix should be quality. Then we have to carry out on the site. Then we have to place on the site. Okay, while placing also proper compaction should be there. Quality work, proper compaction should be there, proper curing should be there, whatever it is required as per the IRC. Okay, as per the highway authority, whatever the design specifications are there, that should be achieved so that the quality will be ultimately achieved. So the most important is the quality should be achieved. If we have not achieved the quality, improper quality control it is there, then the failure of the road payment will be there. Drainage system is insufficient. Suppose the drainage, whatever we have designed to carry out the storm water as well as the daily use water. So suppose that drainage is not able to carry whatever the designed flow it is there. Means what? The maximum flood level it is more than, that is the normal pool level of the drainage. So what will happen? By the maximum flood or by the velocity of that water, erosion of the banks of the whatever the embankment that we have placed for the road, the erosion will start for sub-base layer, base layer. Okay, so due to this erosion, what will happen? The ultimate carrying capacity will also decrease. Also, the water tries to enter into the base core, sub-base cores. Okay, ultimately it affects on the bearing capacity of that layer. So the proper drainage should be provided. Also, if suppose the proper drainage is not there, proper camber is not maintained, slope or carry out the water into the drain. If suppose that is not maintained, so what will happen? Water will stay there only. So due to the transportation of the heavy load, and if the water it is there, so what will happen? The cracks will be developed. What the water will does? It will tries to lose the bond between the different materials, the aggregate, binder material. The bond between them will be loosened by the water, by the ultimate traffic. Okay, so what will happen then? The if once the bond will get loose, so ultimately what will happen? The aggregate tries to come out. So due to that, what will happen? Crack will be there or the potholes will be there. Yeah, so proper drainage system is also necessary to provide. Increase in the magnitude of the load. Suppose we have designed a road for the different magnitude of load, and the load which is carried out by that road it is more. If the load traveled by that road it is more, then what will happen? Failure will be there because we have not designed that road for that type of the loads. Okay, so we have to do the two things. One, we have to design for the more load, whatever the maximum load that will be carried out on that road. Second, if we have designed for the low load, we have to ensure that the heavy duty vehicle should not allowed on that road. Okay, that we have to make, that care we have to take. Then next is the foundation settlement. Okay, due to the low ESBC, soil bearing capacity, what will happen? Or suppose the load it is whatever the travel it is more, and the load carrying capacity of the soil is less, what will happen? The foundation will get settled, and due to this settlement of the foundation, the cracks will be developed on the pavements. And the failure of the subgrade layer. Okay, the failure of the subgrade layer, subbase layer. Why it is there? Because suppose if we have not gone for the proper material, if we have not gone through the proper compaction of that layer, suppose if you have not maintained the proper thickness of that layer, we have not maintained the proper density of that layer. Dry density we need to check. We need to also check the water content. Okay, optimum moisture content should be there. Okay, if we have not achieved these parameters, so ultimately what will happen? The strength of that subgrade layer, subbase layer, base layer will be minimum. Okay, so that layer may have the chances of failure if we have not maintained the parameters properly. Okay, so these are the common causes of the failure of the any kind of the road pavement. So along with this pavement, along with these parameters, there are also certain parameters like the adverse climatic condition or the environmental condition. That is, heavy rainfall will be there, erosion of the soil, waterlogging condition, frost action. Okay, if suppose such environmental condition will occur, then also what will happen? The road will get failed because we have while designing we have not considered the heavy rainfall, erosion of the soil. Okay, if we have not maintained this, say, if you have not considered this while designing the road, so if suppose the heavy rainfall will be there, you might have observed due to the heavy rainfall, the road will get slide away. Okay. So due to the heavy rainfall, due to the soil erosion, due to the water logging, okay, suppose the water table will get raised due to the heavy rainfall, then water logging condition will be there. Then frost action, if the water will get contaminated into the layers of the road, and if suppose the temperature will goes below the 0 degree, etc. Okay. If temperature lowers, whatever the water it is there between the layers, it will get frozen. Okay, due to this freezing action, what will happen? the volume will get increases, and due to this increase in the volume, cracks may be there on the pavement. So general causes that we have discussed now: poor soil, inferior quality of material, improper geometry, overloading of the vehicle. So see here, the IRC has suggested the wheel load, standard wheel load 80 kilonewton that we have seen, standard single wheel load, standard double wheel load that we have seen, 4080 kg, then 8000. Okay, that is what 80 kilonewton standard wheel load it is allowed by the IRC. Okay. That also we need to check. The environmental factors, inadequate drainage, okay, that we have discussed now. So we will see now one by one. The first one is the pothole. So what is the pothole? You can see here on the road, the holes is there. Okay. So why these are the isolated depressions on the road, and they are developed due to the loss of base course material into the pavement, due to the loss of the material or due to the improper bonding between the material. If the material bonding will get loose, what will happen? One by one material will get come out. So what will happen? Due to that, depression will be there on the road. So this depression is called as potholes. They may be the bowl shape holes of the varying size, surface layers, or the extended into the base course caused by the localized disintegration of the material. Okay. They usually appears into the rainy season. After the rainy season, these are the common failure types happens after the rainy season. Okay. Because due to the rain, if suppose the proper camber is not provided, proper slope is not provided, water will get contaminated there. So what will happen? It will lose the bond between the binder and the aggregates. So the clear starts to come out. Due to that, potholes will be there. We will see one video regarding that, how the maintenance of the potholes will be there.
Let me tell you about this amazing offer from Udemy. Right now they're having one of their biggest sales of the year. तो अगर आप घर बैठे बैठे बोर हो गए,
making permanent repairs to asphalt potholes. Time, traffic, sunlight, and the elements will cause potholes to develop in asphalt roadways, parking lots, driveways, and pathways. Once a pothole has begun to develop, it will deteriorate rapidly as water reaches the gravel base. Potholes can be permanently repaired with Quikrete commercial-grade, high-performance blacktop repair. High-performance blacktop repair is an advanced all-season formula that permanently bonds to the surrounding asphalt, sealing water out while providing a new driving surface. High-performance blacktop repair requires little surface preparation to be effective. Simply square the pothole edges as much as possible and pour the repair material into the hole. Overfill the hole about 2 to 3 inches above.
Hi, I'm Mike Domino, Vice President of Rabine Paving America. We're here at our Belvedere plant to show you how to do a temporary fix on any potholes or repairs that come through in the wintertime.
Step 1. Preparation. Locate the pothole that needs to be filled. Then assemble the tools you will need, which include a broom, hand tamper, a bag of cold patch, your safety vest, gloves, and of course, a smile. Step 2. Clean pothole. Be sure to thoroughly remove any debris in the hole, which might include dirt, loose gravel, and asphalt. Next, sweep around the edges to make sure that the surrounding ledge is clear of all debris. Step 3. Tamp down excess material. Use the tamper to compact any loose base so that it is compact. This will make sure that the cold patch sits on a solid base. Step 4. Fill with cold patch. Open the bag of cold patch and fill the pothole 2 to 3 inches above grade. This will allow for a better compaction. Step 5. Tamp down. Use the tamper to press down and compress the cold patch. You may want to use your foot to help initially. Step 6. For best compaction, use a truck or a heavy vehicle if available. Drive over the repaired area. This will help to fully compact the repair for longevity. Step 7. Retamp. Use the tamper to retamp the repair and to smooth out any tire tracks or blemishes that might still be present.
Okay, so these are the different we have seen the different ways how to fill the path holes. Okay, we need to go it is not that like that we should have to use this only. Okay, according to the situation we have to decide what should be the way to maintenance of the path holes. Okay, so most common cause of the path holes is the formation is the ingress of the water into the pavement through the surface process. Okay, so this is the very most important parameter. You should not allow the waters to enter into the pavement. Okay, if the water will get enter into the pavement, it will lose the bond between the aggregates, binders, and will then it will have, what will happen, the path hole will be there on top of it. So this can be happen if the surface have lack proper camber. Okay, so that I have told that we need to provide the proper camber. We need to provide the proper slope for the road. Also, as we know, we provide the camber for the top surface. Okay. Also on the shoulder as well, we should provide the slope so that whatever the water that is coming from the surface layer on the shoulder, that will also suddenly goes off into the drain. Because suppose if it will stay on the shoulder as well, what will happen? The shoulder will get also fell. Okay, so due to the stagnation of the water on the shoulders, due to the accumulation of the water on the shoulder, what will happen if suppose the water will get percolated by the shoulder, then also the load carrying capacity may be reduced. Okay, so also we need to understand we should have to provide the slope for the shoulder as well, so that the water we should drain out directly into the drains. Okay. The lack of the proper bond between the bituminous surface and the underlying water-borne macadam base can also cause the potholes. Okay. Also, there is another reason for the formation of potholes is that if there is not a proper bonding between the different layers. Okay, for that purpose we provide the tack coat, prime coat. Okay, so that is the reason to provide the tack coat, prime coat, to have the proper bonding between the layers. If suppose that bond is not proper, then also there is a chance of potholes. To thin bituminous surface which is enabled to understand heavy traffic can also cause the potholes when associated with the improper and adequate camber. So this is very important to provide the proper camber slope. Okay. And if suppose the bituminous surface is very thin, and if the whatever the traffic it is coming, it is very high and also carrying very large load, then also there is a chances of causes of potholes. So in the treatment we have shown see the videos, we have seen the video. In that we have seen whatever the pothole it is there, we need to clear the area around that pothole. It may be circular, it may be rectangular shape, you can take depending on the shape of the pothole. Okay, we have to remove some material around that. Whatever the loose material it is there, that loose material we need to take out, and after that we need to place the bituminous or the asphalt material into that, or if it is the concrete or concrete, it is we need to provide. Okay, and now we are discussing about the flexible pavement. So whatever the bituminous mixture or the asphalt it is there, that we need to place in that whatever the material it is there, that we need to place into that deep. Whatever that we have removed the material, whatever the first important thing, whatever the loose particles are there, that we need to take out. Okay, then and then only we have to place the material, and then we need to go for the compaction of that material. Okay, if possible, we have to maintain the small raised part of that pothole. Okay, because by the ultimate passing of the road, that may be get reduce the thickness. Okay, so if possible, maintain the much greater thickness, greater thickness than the pavement. So what will happen ultimately when the load will pass from that, the thickness will get reduced. Okay, so this is what the treatment that I have told you now. The second thing, first we have seen now the pothole, how it get produced, or what are the causes of pothole, how it should get maintained. Okay, how the maintenance of the pothole is conducted. First we need to clear the area, we need to take out the loose material. That may be the circular shape, we can go for the rectangular shape, circular shape, whatever it is. Okay, then we need to place the material, then we need to go for the proper compaction. Okay, so second cause is the second thing of the failure is alligatory cracks. Okay. So what is the alligatory crack? Alligatory crack is nothing but it is known as the map cracking or the crocodile cracking as well, or the fatigue failure. Why it is called as map or crocodile cracking? Because whatever the shape of that crack it is there, it looks like the skin of the crocodile or looks like the map. Okay, so that what it is called as alligator crack. You can see into the figure. So see here. So it look like this. That is the skin of the crocodile. So it can be also called as crocodile cracks. map. It also looks like a map. So it is called as map cracks. Okay. So since it appears similar like the alligator skin, okay, it looks like the alligator skin, so it is called as alligator crack. The failure can be due to the weakness of the surface, base, or the subdural. The surface or the base that is too thin, poor drainage, or the combination of all these three. Suppose the surface is not maintained proper thickness, base layer, that may be happen due to these three or combination of these three, any one of these three. Okay, base layer it is provided less thickness, proper drainage it is not provided through that. If the suppose the base layer is not provided with the required thickness, then at this time the cracks may be produced on the surface. The main reason of this type of the failure is repetitive application of the heavy movement of the traffic. Suppose the road is not designed for that much load. If that load is coming frequently on that road, okay, means what, the heavy traffic movement will be there on that road, then this type of the cracks will be there. Okay, so due to the heavy movement of the load, alligator cracks are generally formed. You can see the figure. The next type is the block crack. By the name also we can see the cracks looks like the block patterns on the road. So these cracks are known as the block cracks. You can see into the figure. The shape of these cracks are looks like the blocks. So these are named as the block cracks. So blocks cracks looks like the large interconnected rectangulars roughly. It is not like the exact rectangular or block. Roughly it looks like that. Generally it is caused by the shrinkage of the asphalt pavement due to the and inability of the asphalt binder to expand or contact with the temperature cycle. Okay, due to the temperature changes, what will happen? The contraction and the elongation will be there, expansion and the contraction will be there. So due to this, what will happen? Suppose this proper shrinkage it is not there of the asphalt layer. So that is the reason the block cracks will be developed. This can be because the mix was mixed and placed too dry. Okay, whatever mix that we have placed, it is placed at the very dry condition. That may be the reason. Okay. The size of each rectangular may vary from 1 feet by 1 feet to the 10 feet by the 10 feet. That much large cracks may be there. Okay, it may be of the 1 by 1 feet, that may be of the 10 by 10 feet. It separates over the larger area of a ground. Okay, it spreads over the larger area. It separates the larger area of the ground. That may be the 1 by 1 feet. That may extend up to the 10 feet by the 10 feet. So it looks like the blocks on the road. So it is named as the block cracks. So according to the shape, according to the nature, according to the what are these causes of the failure, the cracks are divided. So next is the longitudinal cracks. You can see into the figure. It is produced along the length of the road in the longitudinal direction. So it is named as the longitudinal cracks. Okay, because the longitudinal cracks are individual and runs parallel to the center line. Generally, longitudinal cracks are runs through the center line along the road in the parallel direction. So this distress can be considered as the either the structural or the environmental distress. Okay, this is maybe due to the structural defect. That may be due to the environment, forced action it is there, okay, due to the heavy load, due to the not providing the proper thickness of the surface layer, proper binding of the layers, it is not there. So the whatever the camber or the central line particles are there, that will get separated from each other. That may be the reasons of the formation of the longitudinal cracks. This can be the result of the both pavement fatigue, reflective cracks and or the poor joints of the construction. If we have not provided the proper joints, okay, at the center, proper joint is not maintained, proper bonding it is not maintained. Okay, so these are the reason, or ultimately fatigue will be there. Means what? The whatever the load it is traveling on the center line, heavy load, suppose the frequently traveling on that point, so that due to that also the cracks will be there. Then the transverse crack along the direction of the road with the center line is longitudinal. If it is across the road, then it is called as transverse crack. Or according to the position or according to the location, cracks are named as per. The transverse cracks are the single cracks perpendicular to the pavement center line or the lay down direction. Whatever the direction of the traffic it is there, that will be the perpendicular to that direction. So that they are named as the transverse crack. The transverse cracks can be caused by the reflective cracks from an underlying layers, daily temperature cycle, poor construction due to the improper operation of the piers. Okay, due what if suppose the cracks are there into the underneath layers, subbase, base course, binder course. Suppose the cracks are there due to the improper compaction, improper thickness, okay, improper binding between these, that may be transferred onto the surface. So if the poor construction it is there, improper operation of whenever the paver it is placed, okay, that may be there due to the temperature cycle, the frequent rise and the fall of the temperature. Okay, the fatigue action may be there. Due to that also the transverse crack may be developed. You can see into the figure when transverse cracks are there. Then the edge cracking. Edge cracking is what you can see first in the figure. You can observe here edge cracking and the shoulder drop. Along with the edges, the cracks are formed. They are mainly formed due to what you can see here, due to this grass and all that. If suppose the roots of the shrubs and grass are there, which are entered into the pavement, base of the pavement, so it will lose the soil beneath that due to the roots. So what will happen? The cracks will be there at the edges. That is the main reason. Edge cracks travels along the inside edge of the pavement surface within 1 or 2 feet. It may be the 1 to 2 feet only. The most common cause of this type of the cracks is the poor drainage condition and the lack support of the pavement. Okay, suppose if the proper drainage is not provided, suppose at the end, at the shoulder, when the surface and the shoulder meets, at that point, at the end of the surface layer, suppose if the proper support it is not there to transfer the load and the wheel is traveling along that edge. So what will happen? Suppose proper, if the proper support it is not there, the cracks may be produced there, because whatever the load it is coming from the wheel on that edge, it may be not be transferred properly because support is not having proper. Okay. So due to that also the cracks will be produced at the edges. As a result of the underlying base material settles and becomes weakened, the base material also will get settled. So to avoid this settlement of the material, what we should have to go for? Proper compaction of each and every layer. So that only we need to check the density of each and every layer frequently. Okay. If we have go for the proper compaction, proper optimum moisture content, whenever we are compacting, the material will not get settled. Okay. If the material will not get settled, the cracks will not get developed. So this also we need to keep in mind whenever we are compacting, we need to compact at the maximum dry density condition. Okay, we have to achieve the maximum dry density whenever we are compacting. Then heavy vegetation along the pavement edge and the heavy traffic can also be the instigator of the shoulder drop off. Okay, that I have told now only. Suppose if the vegetation it is there, grass it is there along the edges of the road, the roots may go into the soil beneath that. Then it lose the proper base. Okay, and if the heavy load will transfer from that area, the what will happen ultimately cracks will be developed there. It can be improved by the rooting out the existing vegetation and by prefixing the drainage problem. Okay, what will we have to do then? We have to take out that whatever the vegetation it is there, and we have to provide the proper drainage condition at that place. So that what will happen? The cracks will not be there. If we provide the proper drainage system, proper firm base to that edges. It can be also removed by the filling the cracks or the seal the cracks to prevent the further deterioration. Okay, but if suppose the crack will be produced at the edges, ultimately what will happen? By the repetitive traveling of the load from that cracks, the shoulder will get dropped. Means what, that much area will get break down. Okay, so it is called a shoulder drop off. To avoid that, suppose the edge crack will be observed, immediately we have to go for the filling that crack by the sealants. Okay. So whatever the future the shoulder drop off problems like that will be there will not be occurs. You can see into the figure edge cracking, shoulder drop off. Then slippage cracks, you can see into the figure due to sudden application of the load. Okay, suppose the truck or the any heavy duty vehicle it is there, it is traveling along the road, and if it suddenly applies the brake, what will happen? The whatever the surface material it is there, it will get disturbed. Okay, so that it will produce the cracks, and it will look like this. Proper skid if it is not provided there. Okay, and this is also will happen due to what? Suppose whatever the surface material that we have placed, surface layer whatever we have placed, if it is not of the proper thickness, suppose this very less thickness it is provided, and heavy duty vehicle it is traveling and it suddenly applies the brake, then such type of the cracks will be developed. So whenever we are placing the surface layer, we should ensure that the proper thickness will be there, and very importantly proper bonding should be there, so that we have to go for the proper compaction to achieve the maximum dry density at that point. Then such cracks will not produce. Slippage cracks are crescent shaped or the horseshoe shaped cracks or the tears of the surface layer. It is the asphalt where the new material has a slip over the underlying course. Means what suppose if already constructed road it is there and we have placed the new material over that, if the proper bonding will not maintain, we have not maintained the proper bonding between them, then what will happen? If the vehicle suddenly applies the brake, it will form the slippage cracks. If the proper bonding between the layers it is not maintained. Okay, so binding is also very important, so that we are applying the tack codes, prime codes for that purpose only. Okay. It is caused by the lack of the bonding between the layers. Acceleration, deceleration of the sudden breaks down on the road are lead to the slippage cracks. It may be due to the acceleration, it may be due to the deceleration. Mostly these cracks shows on intersection due to the stopper. Okay, due to at the intersection mostly these such cracks are observed, because at the intersection we need to sudden stop, we need to sudden get accelerated. So at the intersection points, such cracks are observed mostly. You can see the figure. See here into this figure. At this place, a very less thickness of the road is provided of surface force, and the proper bonding also not is maintained properly. Okay, whatever the base force it is there, it is laid the surface force directly on that without providing the proper binder there. Okay, if the proper bonding does not happen between these two forces, two layers, so such cracks may be produced. Next is the weathering and the raveling cracks. You can see here, it looks like the weathering action. Such cracks are produced. You can see here, a very less material of the surface will get removed from the road. You can observe into the figure. Such type of the cracks are known as weathering and the raveling cracks. It is the adhesion between the asphalt, cement, and the aggregate. Whatever it happens on the surface layer. Okay, whatever the bond between the asphalt layer and the aggregate layer. Suppose it gets loosened, then some material will get out from that area. So due to that, such cracks are produced. Then the deformation starts with the breaking up of a fine aggregate in a small pieces and leaves the small patches over the pavement. So, okay, so whatever the small particles are there, such a small pieces of the aggregate will get removed first. Okay, so breaking of such a small pieces, such potholes may be generated. Okay, the larger later on, the larger aggregates breaks and leaves rough surface. Okay, first what will happen, whatever the small layer it is there, small fine particles will get removed. After that, what will happen, by the removing the all small particles, by the time later on the large particles tries to remove from there, tries to go out from there. Okay, there are many reasons for such type of the derailment and can occur, but one of the most commonly causes the placing the asphalt too late in the season. Okay, so if we place the asphalt too late, suppose we have placed the base course, then we have applied the prime coat, and then we have to apply the asphalt layer there. But if we take too much time for applying the asphalt layer, so the proper bonding will not be there. So small material will tries to get off from that road. Okay. Traffic loading is also one of the reason. This is the most common reason. Traffic, if the load it is travel from that road, it is more, then due to that also, due to the wear and tear will happen due to that loads. Okay, you can see here from the figure, such type of the cracks, small particle get removed from the roads. Such type of the cracks are produced on the road. Then the routine, you can see here as much such undulations or the depressions are produced on the roads are called as a routine. The depression forms in the surface is called as rut. You can see in this figure, you can see here the depressions are formed on the road. Such type of the defect or the failure, it is known as the rutting. This is the formed in the wheel path surface along the way of the road. Okay, whatever the path of the wheel it is there, along that path of the wheel, such type of the cracks are produced. This depression will make the other sides of the wheel to undergo uplift. You can you may have observed into the soil. Okay, whenever you have studied the soil mechanics, whatever the settlement of the foundation it is there, due to the settlement of the foundation, whatever the beneath soil it is there, it will come up. That is called as uplift of the soil. In here also, if due to the heavy load of the wheel, depression will happens on the road, whatever the nearby area or the nearby layer or nearby material it is there, it will go uplifted. Okay, so the depression will make other sides of the wheel undergo uplift. It is caused by the insufficient pavement thickness. It is very important. If you have provided a insufficient, whatever the thickness it is designed as per the IRC, if we have not maintained that thickness, the rating will be there. The depression will be there on the roads. Lack of the compaction of the asphalt layer, stone base or the soil, weak asphalt mixes, and the moisture infiltration. These are the reasons for formation of the depression on the roads. If the rating is a minor or if it has stabilized, the depression can be filled and overcome. If the deformations are severe, the rutted area should be removed and replaced with the suitable material. Suppose if the ratings are very small, then we have to fill the overlay another material and we'll make it plain. Suppose if the rating or the depression will go very much deeper, then we have to remove the material from there and we have to resuit or the place the material there, okay, with the suitable grades of the materials. You can observe here along the path of the wheels, the depressions on the roads are there. Then next is the corrugation. You can see here the wave-like structures will form on the road, and generally it appears in the transverse direction. The transverse undulation appears at a regular interval due to the unstable surface course caused by the stop and go traffic. When the traffic stops and go in such area, such undulations may be there. Okay. So due to this, such hills will form on the roads called as corrugation. The only difference between the rutting and corrugation is the direction of the distress undulations. In the rutting, distress takes place along the direction of the road, and in the corrugation, distress appears in the transverse direction. Okay, what is the only difference between the rutting and corrugation? The rutting will be there in the transverse direction, and the rutting will be there into the longitudinal direction along the path of the road, and the corrugation will be there into the transverse direction. Okay, that is the only difference between these two. Then the bleeding, you can observe here, it looks like the extreme bitumen binder, it is placed on the surface. You can observe here on the road, in the figure or in the images, it is shown. It looks like the excess bituminous binder occurring on the pavement of the surface. It causes the bleeding. Okay, suppose we have used the excess binder on the surface of the road. It looks, see here, it looks like it's showing the, it is shown in the figure. It looks like that. It is called as bleeding. So bleeding causes the shiny and the glassy color. Okay, shiny color, glass-like, reflective surface will be there. So maybe tacky to touch. Usually found into the wheel paths. Okay, it also usually follows the wheel path. Okay, it is observed into the wheel path, bleeding. So due to this bleeding, what will happen? It is shiny. The whatever the reflections are there, it will be the okay, more reflective surface will be there. You can observe in the figure. The frost heaving or the swelling, like these roads are formed due to the improper foundation or the improper bearing capacity of the beneath layers. Such undulations are found on the layer. You can observe into the road on the in the figure the frost heaving or the swelling. Upheavals are localized upward movement or the formation of the upward bulge in the pavement due to the swelling of the substrate. Okay. This can be due to the expansive soil that swell due to the moisture or the frost. That is the ice under the pavement. This what is the reason behind that? Suppose if the moisture will get enter into the beneath layers, it will decreases the wearing capacity. So the uphills will form there. Also, suppose if the whatever the moisture it is contaminated beneath the layers, whatever the layers are there, and if the temperature falls below the freezing point, then whatever the water it is there, it will be converted into the ice crystals, or it will get freezed there. So if water is converted into the ice, automatically what will happen? Volume will get increases. This is called as frost action. So frost action will be there, and due to this, the volume will get increases. It will also lead to the formation of the swelling. Okay. So you can observe here into the figure it is shown swelling on the road. So now you will see the maintenance, how we should go for the maintenance. Bituminous surface maintenance, also known as the seal coat or the chip seal, is a thin protective wearing surface that is applied to the pavement of the base coats. We have seen at the uppermost layer of the bitumen, what we apply, the seal coat we will apply. So why this seal coat is applied? It is applied for the maintenance purpose. Or also it is applied to increase the life period. It will also reduces the formation of the cracks on the surface. It is provided to protect the underlying pavement, improve the skid resistance as well. It also allows the skid resistance to the surface course. A BST offers the preventive maintenance from the effect of the sun and water. Okay, also it also provides the seal against the whatever the water it is coming from the surface. It will not allow that water to penetrate into the layer. So that purpose also seal coat is applied. Okay, so it seal coats works as the water repelling agent as well. Okay, you can say why we use the Dr. Fish to avoid the water to get enter into the slabs columns. Like that, seal coat is applied to avoid the water will get penetrate into the surface. Okay. Then asphalt overlay on the road, the small layer of the asphalt it is provided, and then it is compacted. Okay, you can observe into the figure. The asphalt overlay, it is paving method for applying the new layer of the asphalt to deteriorating surface. Suppose the surface is get deteriorating. Okay, so what we can do for the maintenance if the surface is deteriorated too much? Okay, and we have to go for the maintenance of too much. Then what will happen? What we will do? We will apply the new layer on that. That is called an asphalt overlay. An asphalt overlay project will use the existing layers as a base for the new asphalt pavement. Okay, whatever the base existing road it is there, it is work like a base layer for the new laying asphalt layer. Some asphalt surface with severe damage like the rutting, pothole, large cracks, and the expansion will need to be milled before the overlying layers applied. Milling is the removal of the top layer of the asphalt that is broken. Okay, whatever the large cracks are there, potholes are there, expansions due to the overlaying. Okay, whatever the failures are there onto that road, so to maintain of that road, what we will do, we will apply the one layer of the asphalt over that road, so called as the asphalt overlay. Also, the slurry, it can be used for the seal the cracks. You can observe here by the figure, you can understand. Along with the cracks, we will apply the slurry of the hot bitumen, etc. Okay, so it will fills the crack. How it get fills? We'll see one video for that.
Let me tell you about this amazing offer from Udemy. Right now, they're having one of their biggest sales of the year. तो अगर आप
City of Elk Grove Public Works Department uses many pavement treatment options to maintain and extend the life of our city streets. Crack sealing is one of many pavement treatment methods. It's an inexpensive and effective way to ensure our roads remain safe for residents and travelers. Over time, it's normal for roads to crack from traffic, temperature changes, and most critically, water. Water can get under the top layer of pavement through untreated cracks, causing potholes, base failures, and other conditions that lead to costly repairs. Cracks allow water to penetrate beneath the surface, which if left untreated will lead to faster deterioration and shorten the life of the road. Sealing cracks is a valuable technique that has been used for decades to maintain roads. The application can extend the life of pavement up to 7 years and is one of the most cost-effective treatments used to keep a good road in good driving condition. Cracks left untreated lead to costly repairs like base failures, which can cost as much as $40 a square foot, versus crack sealing, which costs significantly less, roughly 4 cents a square foot. Crack preparation and correct application are essential for the process. First, cracks and joints are cleaned of all debris so the sealant can bind to the edges of the pavement. Then the sealing material is heated in a machine to turn the rubberized sealant into a liquid. Finally, the rubber sealant is applied inside the cracks and squeegeed flat onto the surface. It dries quickly and can be driven on within a short time. The benefit of this treatment is it doesn't require road closures, but drivers should still slow down, pay attention, and drive carefully around the work zone. Throughout Elk Grove annually, when weather is cool and dry. Crack sealing has the least amount of environmental impact when compared to other pavement maintenance treatments by using recycled tire rubber, boxless packaging, dust control routers, and vacuum systems. By applying this inexpensive treatment annually, we keep Elk Grove roads safe and maintained while avoiding expensive and major repairs. Next time you see a road with sealed cracks, you'll know it's being properly maintained and the city is being smart with our dollars. To learn more, please visit Elk Grove City.
Okay, so by this video, you have clearly observed how the cracks are get sealed. First, we have to prepare the material. It is the bituminous material that is used to fill the cracks. And before filling the cracks, it is most important that we need to remove the whatever the material it is there into the cracks by the blowers. Okay, if the dust it is there, aggregates are there into the cracks. We need to first remove that material, make the cracks free from the all dust. So then we need to apply the sealant, whatever it is there. Mostly the bituminous sealant it is used to fill the cracks. Then the rigid pavement failures. Okay, now we have seen up till the flexure, like failures of the flexure of pavements. Now we will see the rigid pavement failures. The first is the spalling at the joints. In the rigid pavement, mostly the failures will happen at the joints. The cracking, breaking, or the chipping of the joints, cracks, edges, or it is the breakdown of the slab near the edge of the joints. Usually it occurs within about 0.6 meter, that is 2 feet of the joints cracked edges. Loose debris on the pavement, roughness generally an indicator of the advanced joints and the crack deterioration. Okay, so whatever the spalling of the joint it is there, whatever the cracking or the breaking of the joints, mostly it happens due to what the the looseness of the bonds between the aggregates. Okay, near the joints, it may be within the 2 foot. It will not increase too much. Okay, suppose the joints of the aggregates will get loose and loose and loose due to the entry of the waters, etc., and due to the traveling of the heavy traffics, that joint will get break. Okay, so the tracking or the braking at that joint will be there. You can see here scaling of the cement concrete, the whatever the cement paste like it is there on the road surface, it may get removed out. The peeling of the or the flacking of the top layer of the skin of the concrete surface, that get removed. Such type of failure is called as scaling of the cement concrete. It may be due to the by the improper design mix or the excessive vibration in the building. Also, we can observe if the excessive vibration it is there, the cement water paste will come out on the surface. Likewise, if the excessive vibration it is there on the pavement, so due to that, what will happen? The cement water paste will get there on the surface, and by the by the heavy load or the traffic, what will happen? The top layer or the skin of the concrete surface will get removed off. It is known as the scaling of the cement concrete surface. The performing finishing operation while bleed water is on the surface. That is what the bleeding of the water cement on the surface. Due to that, such kind of the situation will get arises. So to avoid such type of the failure, what we have to do? We have to go for the proper compaction. For the we should not go for the more compaction. Okay, so that the bleeding of the water will be there. Okay, so proper compaction should be maintained. Then the shrinkage crack due to the heat of hydration. Okay, if the proper curing is not provided, the shrinkage crack will get happen on that pavement. The formation of the hair lines, shadow cracks on the concrete slab is the indication of the shrinkage cracks. Okay, what is the shrinkage crack? It is the formation of the hair-like structures. You can observe in the figure. Hair-like structures will get formed into the on the pavement. Okay, such cracks are known as the shrinkage cracks. And shrinkage cracks are developed due to what? Due to the surface is not properly settled, or if the proper curing it is not provided on that surface. So due to that, what will happen? The shrinkage will be there, because the heat, if suppose the heat of hydration will not be proper, the cracks will be there. Okay, to obtain or to maintain the proper heat of hydration, we need to provide the proper curing for that pavement. So these cracks may form into the longitudinal as well as into the transverse direction. It may be in the any direction. Then the warping cracks. Warping cracks are happen due to what? Due to the temperature stresses. We have seen in the last lecture or in the last chapter. The warping cracks are produced due to the temperature stresses. In the hot weather, concrete slab tends to expand. Therefore, the joints should be designed to accommodate this expansion. Okay, whatever the in the hot region, what will happen? The pavement will tries to expand. So we have to maintain the proper. We have to design the joints such that the whatever the expansion it is there, it should be accumulated into that joint. Okay, so that the stresses will not be developed out there. When the joints are not designed properly, it prevents the expansion of the concrete slab. Okay, if the joints are not designed properly, what will happen? The pavement will try to elongate more, and suppose if the proper place it is not available for the elongation, what will happen? It will prevent the expansion. If it prevents the expansion, what will happen? The stress will get formed there. It leads to develop the stresses at that joints. So such these stresses causes the formation of the warping cracks in the concrete slab near the joints. So this type of the cracks can be prevented by providing the proper reinforcement at the longitudinal and the transverse joints. Hinge joints are generally used to relieve the stress due to the warping. Okay, so how to prevent the warping cracks? These are prevented by providing the proper reinforcement in the both longitudinal as well as into the transverse cracks, sorry, joints. Okay, you can see into this figure warping joints, contraction joints, expansion joints that we have seen into the last lecture as well. How the warping stresses are there, temperature stresses are there, what is happening with that. Okay. You can observe here. The warping stress you can observe into the figure, these are provided into the longitudinal direction. Warping joints are provided into the longitudinal direction. You can observe into the figure. Then the mud pumping. That is the mud pumping. When the material present below the road slab ejects out through the joints. Okay. If suppose the whatever the material mud it is there, it is get ejected out through the joints, whatever that we have provided on the pavement. It is called as pumping. Okay. When the slurry of the soil comes out, okay, it is known as the mud pumping. The common reasons, the infiltration of the water through the joints, cracks, or the edges of the pavement forms the soil slurry. Okay, if suppose the water will get infiltrated by the joints or the cracks into the base, it will combine with the soil and forms the slurry. Movement of the heavy vehicle on the pavement forces this soil slurry to come out, causing the mud pumping. Okay, suppose this is the joint, and what will happen? The water will get penetrated through this joint if the proper sealant it is not provided at the joint. If suppose the cracks are there and the water will get enters into the by that crack into the soil, so it will get mixed with the soil and forms the slurry. Okay, and suppose from that joint the heavy vehicle is passing. So due to the application of that heavy load, what will happen? Due to the application of that heavy load, that mud or the whatever the slurry it is there, it will tries to come out. Okay, and that is called as mud pumping. When there is a wide space between the slab and the underlying base and the subbase layer. If there is a wide place it is provided, then also the mud pumping will be there. When the traffic load occurs, it fails to resistance the bending and hence the crack formation will take place. Okay, if the whatever the design traffic load it is there, if it will get raised, the load of the traffic, ultimately what will happen? The cracks will be there. Okay, so you can see here in the figure it is shown mud pumping. So see here, whatever the water it is come from the joints, it will mix with the soil, forms the slurry, and when the heavy load it is travel from that joint, the slurry will tries to come out from that joint. Okay. So these are the joints: surface smoothness, longitudinal joints, transverse joints, surface texture, dowel bars, concrete materials, tie bars, subgrade, subbase layer. You can draw this figure. All the joints are shown here. Also the reinforcement detailing, base layer detailing, all are shown here in this figure. All of you please draw this figure. Draw this figure. draw this figure first. Okay, so see here in this joint figure, the different joints are shown: the longitudinal joints, the transverse joint, slab thickness, concrete material, dowel bars, where it should be placed along the longitudinal joint, where the tie bar are should be placed. Okay. And the different layers also are shown here. You'll see the maintenance of the rigid pavement one video regarding that.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can find really good, no, perfect.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Nelson, and I'm the Cornell Local Roads Program Instructor for the Asphalt Paving Principles and
फ्रेंड्स वेलकम टू आज कुछ अच्छा सीखते में आप सब लोगों का स्वागत है। दोस्तों मैंने एक वीडियो बनाया था पीक्यूसी के ऊपर जिसमें मैंने बताया था कि क्रैक्स किस वजह से आते हैं रिजिड पेवमेंट में। उसके उसके अंदर एक क्रैक्स का टाइप था जो सेटलमेंट क्रैक्स, और मैं उस सेटलमेंट क्रैक को आपको साइट में एक्चुअल में कैसे होते हैं उसके बारे में बताने जा रहा हूँ। आप यहाँ देख सकते हैं ये 4 लेन का काम चल रहा है, और नॉर्मली क्या होता है कहीं कहीं ऐसा 1-8% हो जाता है, कहीं सेटलमेंट हो जाता है तो उसकी वजह से क्रैक आ जाती है। तो मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि एक्चुअल में सेटलमेंट क्रैक होने के बाद कैसे आता है। आप यहाँ से वीडियो से देख सकते हैं कि यार थोड़ा हल्का सा डिप्रेशन दिख रहा है जो कि कैमरा में इतना ज़्यादा पकड़ में नहीं आएगा, लेकिन आप अगर ऊपर से देखेंगे तो यहाँ से ये जो पूरा पैनल आप यहाँ देख सकते हैं क्रैक हो गया है। ये देखिए यहाँ ये पूरा थ्रू आउट यहाँ से उस पार क्रैक चला गया है सेंटर तक जहाँ पे कट किया हुआ है, और देखिए इस पार से ये हर पैनल में क्रैक हो गया है। और ये क्रैक दिन ब दिन ये जैसे जैसे इसके ऊपर लोडिंग व्हीकल दौड़ती रहेगी ये क्रैक्स और छोटे छोटे टुकड़ों में बढ़ते जाएंगे। आप देखिए अनइवन क्रैक्स है यहाँ वहाँ, ये पूरा देख सकते हैं यहाँ से ये पूरा पोर्शन है यहाँ पे फिलिंग किया हुआ था, तो हो सकता है इसमें प्रॉपर रोलिंग नहीं हो, या हो सकता है इसके नीचे वेल हो, या हो सकता है बहुत सारी चीज़ें संभावना होती है। तो मैं ये क्लियरली आपको नहीं बता सकता, लेकिन ये जो क्रैक है ये सेटलमेंट क्रैक है पूरा। देख सकते हैं आप 3-4-5 पैनल के साथ एक क्रैक हो चुका है। तो ये छोटी मेरी कोशिश थी आप तक पहुंचाने की कि सेटलमेंट क्रैक पीक्यूसी में कैसे होता है। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच। ऐसे मैं वीडियो आपके लिए बनाते रहूँगा, और जहाँ जहाँ भी मुझे जानकारी मिलेगी मैं आप तक पहुँचाता रहूँगा। अगर ये चीज़ें होती नहीं तो शायद आपको ये चीज़ें सीखने नहीं मिलती, ये चीज़ें देखने नहीं मिलती है। तो मैं एक्चुअल साइट्स की वीडियो आपको बनाता रहूँगा आपके लिए, और बताता रहूँगा चीज़ें अरीवाल पीक्यूसी जो काम कंस्ट्रक्शंस में होते हैं उसके बारे में मैं आपको ये वीडियो बनाते रहूँगा। तो प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब करिएगा, उसके बगल में बेल आइकन है उसको प्रेस करिएगा ताकि आप तक मेरी नोटिफिकेशन पहुँचती रहे।
Okay, we'll stop here only. You can left the lecture by putting your attendance in the chat box. Mark your attendance into the chat box, then you can left. Thank you for attending the lecture.